All right, welcome back to KMR, the channel that likes to brap. We got some brap right here. So what we're looking at is a mocked up version of the 4-rotor block I plan to use in my Pro Drift car. There's a lot of options these days. I think I've talked about it a little bit previously. These types of motors were never actually available from the factory. So it's a series of custom components, machine work, and available rotary components that make these aftermarket 4-rotor blocks. And this has been done for a while. There's some variations. You can go side port, you can go semi-peripheral port, you can go peripheral port. I've seen them oiled externally when it comes to external dry sumps. And I've seen people run the factory Formula Mazda dry sumps. So I think there's a lot of variation to these builds at this point. And with the billet industry also really starting to evolve, there's a lot of billet 3-rotor and 4-rotor combinations available. One of the reasons that I have chosen to go with this combination is I know these types of builds are strong. I've seen them used in drifting. Mad Mike has used cast iron 4-rotors. So I wanted to go with something that I've seen used in drifting before and not completely go experimental. Although this will be something that allows me to kind of push the limits of my builds in the shop. We plan to use a lot of the technical specs, component information, and build techniques that we have used now for the past 20 years, building the 13Bs and the 20Bs that have been very reliable, whether it be road racing, drifting, performance driving, and beyond. With my setup though, I'm trying to keep things simple. If there is an issue, I want to be able to replace it, and I'm overall looking for performance and power. So we're actually going to go with a full peripheral port 4-rotor, turbocharged. I'm not worried so much about the bottom end. It's an intentional race car, and we are running a sequential gearbox. So this should be a powerful and reliable combination. That means I'm actually going to block off all of these side ports. So we'll be bringing the air in peripherally, let me say it, peripherally, and same with the exhaust. It'll be coming out that traditional peripheral exhaust port. I know people have talked about 3- and 4-rotor Renesis style blocks, but that's still a whole different topic. I think it is doable, but it's not so much recommendable. Even within the 4-rotors, when it comes to side flow, side port blocks, there's a lot of issues with having these outer ports bigger than all of your inner ports, because at that point you're looking for equal flow to each rotor. So again, going with something that's maybe on the tuning side a little more difficult, and obviously will be higher RPM based, but it should be easier intake manifold design. And like I said, my whole goal is power along with reliability. So that's kind of the plan. Cast iron block 4-rotor, the traditional style that we now see in aftermarket builds, and the intention of running a high flow. We're working on some modifications to get as much flow as possible out of one of our factory Formula Mazda based dry sump systems. So I figured I'd talk a little bit, just give the updates. I'm really excited about this project. It's underway. Rotor housings are out for machine work. Parts are incoming. And these are actual 26B, or at least the aftermarket version, bearing carrier plates. So we're on our way. I think that's a wrap. I was just excited to talk about it, and hopefully we'll have some more updates soon. But one of the next things I need to do is test fit this block with the transmission in the car, so we can do a little fabrication work. And then when more of the 4-rotor parts arrive, we'll be able to start building the actual block. There it is. That's a brap. I got to get back to work. I got rotaries to port, things to play with, braps to brap.